All right, everybody, welcome to Wine Talk with Tesh. I am Tesh. In case you did not know, now you know. And if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Welcome, guys. So this is Wine Talk with Tesh, where we drink wine and we talk about them. You learn a little bit about them, mostly because I'm an alcoholic. And yes, I have been drinking because, I have children. So don't judge me. First and foremost, shout outs. Let's give a shout out to Roca Wine and Spirits. Ro is the man. If you guys don't already follow Roca Wine and Spirits, he's a good dude. Rohit Nair. I said that very American, even though his name is Rohit Nair. But he's a very cool dude. And when I've wanted to partner with him for a while, and when I went in to meet with him, he was basically like, Tesh, I trust you. Just, whatever you want to bring in, just bring in. So I got to I really got to pick these wines. And I'm excited to share them with you because I was a big fan of them. These are the types of wines that I would put on a menu somewhere if I was still running a program. And so, yeah. So shout out to Rocco. If you don't follow him on Instagram and on Facebook. He also runs River City Wine Society, River City Whiskey Society, if you're a whiskey drinker, and then the an agave club as well. On the other side, and one more shout out to Fluid Concepts, to my boy Jordan, who's on the other side here. Sorry, I just flicked my laptop with my finger because I'm really excited and I've been drinking. Shout out to my boy Jordan, who's been helping me out with the video. What you see in front of you guys at home is because of him. He makes everything I do way more dope. Okay, so we'll jump into the wines. If you don't have, if you have and you went and picked up all three wines, good job. We're gonna get faded tonight. The first wine that I want you to pop open and drink is the Cremant de Alsace by Domaine Riefle. I'm gonna give you guys a minute while you open that bottle because I know that might take a second. But we're gonna pull up an image of France so I can kind of explain what's going on, okay? So if you guys have been following me up until this point, you guys have been tasting through some stuff. And one of the wines that we tasted not too long ago was Domaine Eugene Meyer's Pinot Gris, and it is one of my favorite Pinot Gris in the world, and it comes from Alsace, France. If you're not familiar with the region, Alsace, France shares a border with Germany, and so the history and the culture in Alsace, in particular, within France, is very mixed. It's very French and it's very German. Depending on which part you go to, it can be either or. So kind of a cool history there, and that's because Alsace as a region has exchanged hands between France and Germany over the years. So anyhow, today we're talking about Domaine Riefle. If you guys have the bottle, it looks like that. Boom. I think we'll probably got an image coming up too. Domaine Riefle is really cool for a few different reasons. Okay, first and foremost, Domaine Riefle has been around since 1850. It has been around for a long time. They're 6 generations deep. They have tons of family who's been involved with it. Currently is being run by Thomas and Paul Riefle. Um, Another thing that's really cool about Cremant de Alsace is we always think of like bubbles as like, oh, champagne is the answer, right? And champagne is delicious. Don't get me wrong. But I'm furloughed right now, okay? And I know a lot of you guys might not be working right now. And champagne prices don't always dictate what we can put into our glass, right? So Cremant de Alsace is a great alternative. You get this beautiful sparkling wine made from different grapes, but you get this great sparkling wine from the French region, right? That is absolutely stunning and is in your glass. I hope you guys like it as much as I do. If you're not already drinking, just start drinking. I'll talk more ad nauseum about this stuff. So, what's unique about this wine? So, it's made in a traditional method, just like champagne is made, where the secondary fermentation happens inside of the bottle. They actually let the wine age inside of the bottle. For about 18 months. They rack the bottles inside of what's called gyro palettes. Think about like a almost if you stood up like a cornhole rack, right? Or a cornhole hole. I don't know what the hell you call it. If you stood that up and you drilled a bunch of different holes into it, you put all these champagne bottles here. I'm not going to use the bubbles bottles because I don't have a top. But if you put your bottles in there like that, a bunch of them lined up and down, right? Like a big row. I don't know how many across and how many down, depends on the size of the gyro palette that you're using. But basically what they do is they do this process called riddling where they go through and they turn the bottles a quarter at a time on each rack. And they do it, they spread this out over time. And it's kind of a unique process if you've never seen it, and it's cool. Uh, Go to a place like Schramsberg is a good example. They do riddling of their bottles, and it's really unique. And the whole reason that they do that is because as the secondary fermentation occurs, right, the yeast cells die inside of the bottle and they end up here at the neck. And what they're trying to do with every quarter turn is they're trying to just work that dead yeast into the bottom. And then when it comes time to actually bottle, to actually freeze this, pop the cap off, and then that dead yeast cell turns into like a frozen ice cube almost, and ejects out. And then anything that they lose in the process in terms of wine, they will add back in to make up for the loss. So kind of a unique process. This particular sparkling, which is absolutely delicious, if you haven't tried it already, you'll notice right off the get-go that it has small, almost like creamy bubbles, which is absolutely delicious. And makes it fun to drink with a variety of things. But this particular one is unique because it's made of 4 different varietals. It is made of Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris, Auxerrois, say that 5 times fast, and Chardonnay, okay? So 4 different varietals go into it. And the end result is that you end up with a lot of this like green apple, kind of like peach flavors, probably attributed to the Chardonnay and like maybe like the Pinot Blanc. And then you get like this really like tropical fruitiness that I think comes from more of the Pinot Gris and the Auxerrois, which is really unique for bubbles, right? So green apple, peach, lychee. I hope you guys like this much as I do. Another thing that's great, right, is I mentioned before, is this is the type of wine that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, and you can still have a really, really nice bubbles, right? Also, kind of makes you seem a little bougie if you show up and you're like, oh, you brought champagne? You're like, no, I brought Cremant d'Alsace. I just heard myself saying that, and it was very douchey. So yeah, it's very bougie. So oops, I lost an earbud. So I hope you guys like that as much as I do. Domaine Riefle, been around for a long time, great producer. I think I mentioned this already. If I didn't say it already, everything that we're drinking today is organically produced, okay? So all of these wines, even more so, are extra special for that reason, right? So there's no excessive added sulfur. The wines are very balanced, right? You have this nice like fruitiness to the wine, but it has like a nice acidity to bring everything into tune. If I was pairing this with something, which I know is always like a big question, like, okay, Tesh, I'm gonna drink Cremant d'Alsace. What am I pairing it with? Honestly, bubbles are kind of good for anything. Now, certain bubbles go with certain things. Like if you have like a Pinot Noir based bubble, right? Probably want to stay in tune with something different than what you're getting here. With this particular wine, I think that you can kind of go anything seafood, like anything seafood. This is the kind of wine that I would just love to drink in the backyard on a hot day, maybe when it's not ashy outside. But this is, I think it's beautiful, and I think it grows with a lot of different things. So yeah, I hope you guys like it. Cheers. Thank you for joining in. I'm going to finish this and then we'll jump into the next class, which the next class we're going to do is going to be the Chateau Saint Eulalie Minervois. So if you have that, pour yourself a glass and we'll get into it in just a second. Also, if I haven't said this, I don't think I have. If you guys have questions along the way, type them in, hit enter. I'll do my best to answer them. I don't always guarantee that I have the answers because sometimes I drink a lot, and I've also forgotten a lot, to be perfectly frank. I was just having this conversation with my wife the other day about how I kind of want to go back and reread some books because I feel like I have lost a lot of information in my last 3 to 4 months of nothingness. So yeah. Okay, you should be on Chateau Saint Eulalie, and I'm trying to pronounce that with the Eulalie emphasis because my sister is a linguist, and she was like, the emphasis is on the li, okay? And I was like, okay, dude, I'll do my best. Chateau Saint Eulalie. Anyhow, this is a beautiful wine for a few different reasons. Okay, so first of all, we're moving south from where we were just at. We were up in Alsace, France, right? We're gonna venture further south. We were up near the border of Germany. Now we're moving down into the Languedoc region, which shares a border with Spain. So we're moving further south, and inside of Languedoc, we're moving specifically into a region called Minervois. Minervois is typical of this style of blend. It's like Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre, and Cinsault. Sorry, I'm like silently burping bubbles because I just had dinner too. So I apologize. Uh, so this winery has been around since 1996, fairly young compared to the other wineries that we are enjoying wines from tonight. This winery is owned and operated by the Custal family. And when I say it's owned and operated, like legit, like the children work there, the mom is considered the owner, the husband is the winemaker, the Custal family, it's legit, right? Another thing that's unique about Minervois as a region and this wine is it's kind of referred to in France, it's referred to as the French Tuscany. And the reason why it's referred to as the French Tuscany, Minervois is because it's very reminiscent of Italy. There's a lot of like rolling hills, there's vineyards. It's almost like serene. And I'm not like, it's different from the rest of France, if you will. And it just like, it has a very Italian feel to it. So French Tuscany, there you go, Minervois. If you see it on a shelf, don't skip it. It's a good way to go. One thing that you'll notice on the bottle of wine that you have, it says Plaisir de Eulalie. And Plaisir, or Vin de Plaisir, as you normally see it on bottles, just means that the wine is like a table wine. It's an everyday wine. It's easy. It's not complicated. It's easy drinking everyday wine. So when they label it Plaisir de Eulalie, what they're saying is this is wine from our house, the Eulalie, Chateau Saint Eulalie. But this is everyday drinking, easy drinking wine. And you'll find when you drink it, if you haven't already, it is just that. So starting with drinking it, it smells like really like fruity up front, right? You get like a lot of like red fruits and even some black fruits. I'm actually getting more black fruit now, like blackberry and plum. Um, and what makes this an easygoing wine is it's unoaked Grenache, Syrah, and Cinsault. It spends about 15 to 18 months in stainless steel before they bottle it, and it goes through a little bit of light filtering. But you'll see when you guys are holding the glass up, it's got a nice, dark, rich purple color. That's just the nature of the grapes. So it's not like huge. It's not huge in terms of the body, and even in terms of the grip. Like it's very, it's got a little bit of grip up front, but it's very like elegant. It's easy drinking. It has a Syrah in it, so it has this really nice like peppery finish. It's very subtle though, and I really like this because this is the kind of wine that you can get for retail for like 15 to 18 bucks, right? And it just like awesome wine. It's easy to drink and it's absolutely delicious. One of the things that I think pairs really well with this particular varietals, like Grenache, Syrah, and Cinsault, especially Syrah, is Indian food. Now, obviously, I'm Indian and I make a crap ton of Indian food, but if you guys are venturing out at home and you guys are trying some stuff that you don't normally venture into, make some Indian food. Find an easy recipe. Go visit your little Indian grocer. Support my family. I'm just kidding. We're not all related. That's really racist. But um, venture out and make some Indian food, and then revisit this wine because I think this is the kind of wine that really pairs well with something that's already has like inherent spiciness to it, because it kind of complements the wine, right? The flip side would be to pair it with something that 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 kind of like offsets it, like a off dry Riesling might pair really well with Indian food because you have something spicy and you have something that's like a little bit sweet. You know, like a sweet and spicy thing. But I think with Indian food, often, right? Often, I don't want to say always, but like they tend to be really meat based. At least in my family growing up, a lot of the dishes were very meat based. So I think that when you lean onto the red side, it works better. So let me know in the comments what you guys think, and if you have any questions about anything, and I'll be happy to answer. Hmm.
So we do have a question from Christine. Is there a specific Indian dish that you'd recommend?
Yes, that's a good question. Christine asked, "Is there a specific Indian dish?" I would probably wash something like lamb curry. Um, yeah, lamb curry is like the first thing that popped into my mind, and I'm just gonna stick with that because I think it's a great call. Um, I'm totally just tooted my own horn in a major way. You know I've been drinking. Lamb curry, I think would be perfect with this, man. Like Grenache, Syrah. You got the lamb, like you got this nice, like fatty meat, right? And then you put it in a curry sauce and kind of like offsets with a little bit of the peppery flavors. Specifically, lamb curry. That's a great question. And if you don't know how to make lamb curry, shoot your boy a message, and I'd be happy to share a recipe with you. Okay. I don't write down a lot of recipes because my mom was really old school that way. Like when I grew up cooking with my mom a lot, which was funny because like a lot of my family members they would like tease me because like I just wanted to hang out with my mom. And but my mom was such a good cook, right? And to this day, I still have like family members on my dad's side that I'll run into once in a blue moon. My parents got divorced back in like '94. My dad's side of the family, which completely got separated, they will still ask me if my mom's cooking is as good as it was back in the day. So my mom is a seriously good cook, and she would always just tell me, I'd be like, "Oh, how do you know how to make this? How do you know how to make that?" And her answer was always the same. She was like, "Just make it with love. If you love it, it'll be good." And I was like, "Okay, cool." Um, Now, along the way through adulthood, you learn that that's not always true. Sometimes you make things with love, and you have to order a pizza, and that's okay too, because you know we all have our faults in life, and we all have our things. But my mom was an incredible cook, and if you need a recipe, I'm happy to write something down and share it with you. So, so yeah, Chateau Saint Eulalie, a great, sorry, Eulalie, as my sister would condone me to say. So, cheers. I hope you like the second wine. If you don't have the Albet y Noya Spanish wine open already, pop it open. We're about to jump into it in just a second. Cool. Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely share recipes, guys. I'm not greedy with those things. The only thing that I will say is I will give you a little disclaimer, okay? Um, the recipes that I send out are slightly different from how I cook at home. Because and I don't want to say different. They tend to be a little bit more unique at home because my grandma makes her the main ingredient in Indian food is garam masala. My grandma like lays out all of her like dried herbs and seeds and things in the sun and sun roast them and then grinds them and makes her own garam masala. When we buy garam masala now, you just buy it in the powder form from a grocery store or even from an Indian grocery store, right? So it's a little bit more special when I make it at home because my grandma has made this masala with a lot of TLC, and then they mail it to me. It's crazy. And I asked my auntie if I could have the recipe, and she was like, "I'll just make it for you." So I think it's like a family secret that the boys can't get in on or something, because they wouldn't let me know. They wouldn't let me know. But it's cool because you know I also don't have to make it. And my auntie, she's awesome. and she just makes it and send it to me. Thank you, Auntie. I love you. Thanks for keeping me fat. Appreciate that. All right. I have poured myself a glass of the last wine, which is the Albet y Noya La Milana, Albet y Noya La Milana Penedes. So we are going from southern France. We're hiking through the Pyrenees Mountains, and we're landing in Catalonia, just on the other side. And then we're going to a specific region called Penedes. Albet y Noya, as a winery, has been there since 1903. They're 5 generations deep. This is the only winery. All of the wineries that we've talked about today, again, are organic, right? But this is the only winery that seems to be, you guys can tell that I've been drinking because everything's starting to slur a little bit. So let me slow down. This is the only winery up until this point that we've talked about that is slowly moving its way into biodynamic winemaking. So yes, Ralph, I know you're out there and I know you're watching because you told me that you were going to pick up the wines. This is slowly becoming witchcraft wine, and it is absolutely stunning. And this is a funny story because when I tasted through a bunch of these wines, this is a wine that I was kind of like, I've never heard of them. Like, I kind of pride myself in trying everything, right? I was like, I've never heard of them. We can probably skip that. I had already chosen the Cremant de Alsace, and I had already chosen the Minervois. And I was like, those two are probably good. And the reason why we're doing the third wine tonight is because the guy was like, you should try it. And I was like, okay. So he poured me a glass, and I was like, holy shit, that's really good, man. It's really, really good. So what we're drinking today is a Spanish wine, of course, right? It is a blend of Caladoc, Tempranillo, and Merlot. A lot of you guys probably haven't heard of Caladoc before. I had to go back and remember what it was, because it's been so long since I've had it, right? I think it was at the kitchen when I was tasting on a regular basis. So Caladoc is a hybrid grape made from Malbec and Grenache. So Malbec Grenache, hybrid grape called Caladoc, Tempranillo, and Merlot. It spends about 18 months in French oak before they bottle it and put it in front of us. This wine really fooled me, okay? And here's why it fooled me. When you blind taste wines, one of the things that you learn is if you pick up on a little bit of dill, like the herb dill, if you pick up on a little bit of that, it's usually an indication that American oak has been used. And American oak is commonly used in Spanish wine, right? So it kind of gives you a sense of what's there based on your aromas and your taste buds. It gives you a sense of what's there, a sense of place, and a sense of belonging if you follow that chain. But I found out after I had tasted that even though I perceived and wrote down in my tasting notes, like I pick up a little bit of dill here, no American oak. It's all French. So something there got me. And I hope you guys, if you haven't tried it already, try it now. I'm going to try it again. See, I still pick up on a little bit of dill. I don't know. I'm must be crazy, man, because I don't know if it's just Spanish in my head. It's certainly fruit forward, right? Like a lot of like really intense fruits too, like intense, strong, like cherries, raspberries, some darker fruit in there. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, pluots, because I've been eating a lot of pluots. If you guys aren't eating pluots, you should be, because they're fucking delicious. Sorry if your kids are listening, I apologize. All right. It's so rich and fruit forward, but then balanced with acidity. This is totally a wine that I would like wash down lamb with, right? What else would I pair with this? A steak, a Morton steak, Cajun ribeye would probably go. See, I'm totally getting dill right now. In the comments section, let me know if you guys get any dill. It might be suggestive because I'm like throwing it out there, but I swear, like I'm picking up on so much of that like dill character, especially on the palate today, that I just think that makes it so uniquely Spanish. So But nonetheless, I tasted the other two wines, and then I got to this one, and it was so good. I was like, yo, I think we just have to do three wines this time because it's so good. Like we have to just try, right? And I don't think that anybody's gonna complain about having to try three wines in a night. That's all right. So as you guys enjoy this, as much as I am, I think it's beautiful. I did pour myself a glass earlier. We made delicious chicken enchiladas at home tonight, and so we had Mexican food with this beautiful Spanish wine, and it paired beautifully. So that's another thing that I think just kind of like common stylistically, foods and wines that kind of go together. You don't avoid that, right? If it comes from the place and the origins are similar, go with that so that you can never really go wrong with that. Um, that's not completely true, but you know what I mean? You follow me, right? So let me know if you guys are picking up on that deal because I feel like it's there.
Few comments from the chat. So Christine says, nope, just picking up a lot of wine. And then followed that with James says he's getting dill. And
James, thank you. Christine, go back to school.
and Chad says, what's up?
Chad, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in, brother. I appreciate the support. That is really good. I am going to continue to smash all of these wines. I actually told my cousin to come over because I need help with this because it's a lot of wine. I can't drink it all on my own. But all that to say, thank you guys for joining in. Thank you for going to Roca out of your way to pick up these wines. The next talk will be happening soon. I haven't quite planned it yet because I've been working on some other stuff. But as soon as I plan it and I have a date for us to get together again online, I will let you guys know. I've been trying to. I think I haven't planned it yet. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna try and work with the spot that's in Roseville. So if for some reason it's too far for you to drive to Roseville, you're breaking my heart. I drive it all the time. But if it proves to be too difficult, don't hesitate to let me know. I can always pick up the wine and meet you halfway. So that way it's not as big of a strain. Because I know a lot of you guys have been struggling to be able to like make it to places or you make it there and then the wine isn't there or the people don't know what you're talking about or whatever. All that stuff. We have some solutions to these things in the works, and hopefully we can make it a little bit easier for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed all three wines. I hope you guys learned something, and thank you for traveling with me from France to Spain. And I will see you guys soon. Okay. Thanks so much, guys. I love and appreciate you, and I'll holler at you all soon. Cheers.